So officially, hello and welcome. I am Rivera's son. I work for Bene, which is a 30-year-old nonviolence organization. We organize a couple of different programs, including year-round educational programs, mostly virtual since the pandemic started. But we also run a program called Campaign Nonviolence, which organizes thousands of people nationwide and around the world to build a culture of peace and active nonviolence, free from war, poverty, racism, environmental destruction. And every year in September, we have a large week of actions coming up September 18th to 26th. I'll make sure we put the link in the chat box. The other thing we do is a project called the Nonviolent Cities Project, which is how we got to tonight's exciting story. We learned this from Carbondale, Illinois, which set out to turn their city into a nonviolent city, working with the library and the city council and the schools. And this was such a brilliant idea that we decided we would help that go to other places. And now we have about 50 groups organizing in both large cities and mid-sized towns, a couple of very small towns as well. And one of those places is in the Twin Cities. And that brings us to tonight. We're going to hear from Father Harry and Will Wallace, who are part of Twin Cities Nonviolent. And let me just introduce them briefly and then turn it over to them. So Will Wallace is the youth programs director. He's got more than 25 years of experience, specifically working with youth who exist in a cycle of violence, trauma, gangs, and or the justice system. He's created and stewarded the North 4 program that served those specific segment of youth in North Minneapolis. And he also has a personal talent for DJing at parties, making people dance and inspiring laughter. So welcome, Will. So glad you're here. Father Harry Bury has been committed to a lifelong path of peace and justice. And I could do a whole hour seminar on all the crazy and wild things he has done in his life in pursuit of peace. But he's a retired Roman Catholic priest. He's been a college professor, world traveler, a social political activist, creative thinker, and inspirational speaker. He also organized against war and accompanied peace teams to Gaza. He now organizes in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis area and coordinates the Twin Cities Nonviolent. So welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for joining Bene to share your story of what you have done with creating a cop-free school. And I am so curious to hear more about how this got started, what it's been like along the way, and I'm sure our participants will have questions for you towards the end. But thank you both, and I'll let you choose who's going to kick us off.
Well, Will, why don't you go first and explain your program with the brothers?
Okay, so thanks for having me. And I like to say my name is Will, but I do God's will. And my program, we began to start it around 2008. In Minneapolis, we had the most homicide in 4 neighborhoods, which is Jordan, Falwell, McKinley, and Hawthorne. And so we went out and we did an assessment to about 150 young people. And we asked them, what would it take for you guys to come up off the streets? And the answer that we got, 85% of the answers were, we need a job. And so we started this program reaching for those who are in the streets, out of school, having issues at home, in the court system. And we provide internships that we collaborate or build a relationship with stakeholders. And we ask these stakeholders to help us see these young people on this journey of leaving that lifestyle alone. The program is a 4-month program where guys can learn skills, from soft skills to life learning skills to being leaders, giving back to the community. And so after 4 months, we asked the stakeholders, could they hire them on either full-time or part-time? And if they don't hire them on, then we also have workforce coaches within our organization that they can connect with. They can also help them either get back in school or find them a job. And so over this last couple of years, when we had the George Floyd killing and the pandemic, everyone began this, we began this food distributing. And so out of that, we was able to hire these guys through the pandemic, keep them hired on, provide for their families. And now we're at a point now that our food distributing piece is still going on, meaning that we serve almost 75 to 100 families each week, where the young people's uh, uh, sack grocery, pack groceries, and hand it out to communities in North Minneapolis and then surrounding suburbs. And so it's teaching these guys that who has been um, caught up in this system, and we're teaching them what the system looked like, and now they're giving back and understanding that the system basically is not working for us. And so we have to teach them how to deal with it, how to confront it, and how to move forward, and how to change the narrative that we see that happening all over the United States in the inner city. Is poverty, lack of education, no economics. And so we're teaching these young brothers about what do Black wealth look like through this program? What do a real education look like? What do a college degree look like? What do stocks look like? So we're trying to change the narrative here in Minnesota. And then over the last year, we connected with Father Harry Bury. But it's been an awesome journey the last couple of years. I met Father Harry one night, and he asked me would I commit to helping him with the nonviolence movement that happens in September, around September 18th to like the 30th. And that's to provide peace and nonviolence in your community or on your block. And so I told him, yeah, and then he asked me, could he come out and talk to the brothers to see if he can get the brothers to be a part of this movement. And so I told him yes, and he came out, he talked to the brothers, and he asked them, he said, would y'all be willing to stand with me for 10 days of nonviolence and peace and no violence? And all the brothers looked at him and said, we'll think about it. But then, a couple of days later, they committed. And so to do this with him. And so on that 10 days, we provided resources to the peoples on our blocks. We even did barbecues where we fed the family hot dogs and hamburgers, and then also had the brothers talk to the younger kids about violence and what it looks like and how we can disturb them from not being in that. So after those 10 days, me and Father Harry, we've just been teaching these young brothers on a bigger scale of what this nonviolence looked like in the Twin Cities. And so we got the opportunity to be a part of the protest with Father Harry. I mean, we did the riots when the riots was going on here after the George Floyd killing. Me and Father Harry, believe it or not, we was out there at 8, 9 o'clock amongst the protesters and the police. And I'm looking at this guy, 90-something years old. I'm like, Father Harry, well, you telling me you want to go out on the block where everybody? He said, yeah, let's go. And so he came and picked me up, and sure enough, me and him, I'm standing side by side in solidarity with this guy, and we're talking to the protesters and we're talking to the police. And it's like, when you got someone that 90-something years old, it reminds me of my ancestors that never stops, that there's a better day ahead. There's a better result. And so out of that, we began to bring the brothers to the protest to provide security. And then on the voting day, we was able to provide security at our polls here in Minnesota because we heard that there was going to be some people that will come and try to disrupt the voting, people's voting, and try to demonstrate that or try to scare people with their scare tactics. But imagine 10 brothers at these different polls providing security in their community. I mean, this is history. We're Black peoples, man. I'm talking about in the 60s, we couldn't vote. I mean, we couldn't go to polls. I mean, I mean, this just is just being with him has opened up a lot of doors. And so what came out of this is that we connected with Ascension Church and School. A good friend of mine's, Patty, along with Father Harry, and we decided to talk to them about bringing on these brothers to be able to provide peace and love and passion to these young people. Because Patty said that she did not want to hire a police officer with a gun in the school. And when we began to have this conversation with her, we had demonstrated that we had been with Twin Cities Nonviolence. We've been at these protests. We've been at the poll, and we also was with Nonviolent Peace Force that have taught us what do de-escalating violence and what that looked like and what safety looked like. And so for the first school in Minnesota to give these brothers, who's ones that they believe that was written off, destroyed the community, written off by society, Patty and Ascension gave them opportunity to be peacekeepers at the school. And so they've been there since March, and we have been getting nothing but praises from not only Patty, who is the VP, but the principal and teachers and the families. And so that's my spiel. I can go on and on, but I do have Father Harry who want to speak, and then also one of the young brothers who now is we hired on full time to be with me side by side to continue to reach for these young people, which we call is a lost soul, and try to bring them into what their inner spirit can do for them if they tap into it. So I'm excited. I'm thankful to be here with you guys tonight. And then, like I say, it's no coincidence. We don't write the plan. God write the plan. So it's a reason why we're here. So thanks for having me.
Very good. Will, you always inspire me. You've been inspiring me ever since I met you. And I remember the first time when I met the brothers, and I came with my Roman collar on a hot summer day in 2018. You invited me to come and speak, and I didn't want to give them a sermon. I figured that wouldn't be appropriate. So I asked them what their life was like. And the brothers went around the room and they all said something about what their life was like. And I felt so honored that they would share so intimately with me, who they had never met before, a stranger. And then I asked them, if your life would be even better, what would it be like? And 4 out of the 11 said, I'd have a father. I'd have a father. And, that just struck me in the heart. And then I said, well, if think ahead some 5 years, what do you see yourself doing? And 2 of them had their own business. Another was working at the airport. Another was teaching. And I was impressed with the things they said. It showed that they had high self-esteem. And then I said, well, I need your help. And I wanted them to realize that I had great respect for them, that I thought that they were in a place where they could really help me and help us. And I said, we're going to have these 10 days free from violence beginning on the International Day of Peace in September. This is now July, as Will just pointed out. I said, we're going to have this day, and I need you to help make sure the neighborhood here on the north side is free from violence. And as Will just pointed out, they said they'd think about it, but then they really got serious, and they each committed to make sure that the block they lived on would be free from violence. And with Will's mentoring, they began to teach the little kids nonviolence. And On the night of the beginning, as Will just said, they had, oh, I'm sorry for that. They had, I can't control that, I'm sorry. Just leave it. They couldn't, on the night of the 10 days, they had this block party and cooked hamburgers and wieners for the neighbors. So that was really good. And so that was really amazing. And then after the 10 days, what was really powerful was that we had a press conference, and Will explained to the press what had happened during those 10 days and what the brothers had done. And then one of the persons in the press said, "And how do you know it was successful?" And Will, without batting an eye, he said, "No funerals." And that's what it's about. These brothers, as he pointed out, since last August have been being trained in active nonviolence, and they're using these skills now not only to protect people when they came to vote, but as I said, as he said, they are protecting the children and the staff at Ascension School, and they're getting paid a wage, not as much as they deserve. They need more money, but it's a great start. And they're full-time employees, so they have hospitalization and insurance. Well, then the next summer, I asked, "Well, can I come back?" And Tiny said, "Oh yeah, please come." So the next time I came, it was a graduation after those 4 months. And there was a policeman that talked to the brothers, and a politician and a social worker. And I was last on the list. And when it was time for me to talk, I couldn't do what I did the summer before. And so I prayed to the Holy Spirit. Will and I do a lot of praying. And I prayed to the Holy Spirit for inspiration. And the thought came to me, and I said to the brothers, "How would you like to go fishing?" and that caught him by such surprise, they didn't know what to say. Okay. And so we arranged for a Saturday, and 5 of them showed up, and we went fishing. And they just had the greatest time. And 3 of them had never been in a boat before. And they didn't know, of course, how to bait the hooks and take the fish off with the hooks when they caught the fish. And one of them, at the end of the day, said, "This is the most fun I've ever had in my life." And that's what it's about. It's about relationships, building relationships, because as you build relationships, you build trust. And so last Saturday, we went fishing again. And this time the word was out, and 12 of them showed up. And 2 of them either brought their sisters or their girlfriends. I didn't check to see which way, but we had 2 ladies with us. So 10 brothers and 2 ladies. And we just had a marvelous time fishing, catching lots of fish. And the brothers were saying, "When can we go again?" They even talked about the possibility of doing ice fishing. So it's the beginning of an addiction to fishing. It was wonderful. So that's what we're doing. And these brothers now have been trained in active nonviolence, that Will had pointed out. And they're not only protecting the Ascension School, the children and the staff, but we're looking for other schools for them to work at, and give them a meaningful job that pays a just wage, a living wage. And we believe that this model can be presented through all over the country. And Will and I are willing to go anywhere to share this knowledge and how he got it started and how they might proceed to do the same thing in other cities in the United States, because this is really a model. I think here you have young people who have been trouble for the police, and now they're doing police work without collaborating with the police. So the demonstrators can't say that we're hand in glove with the police in a sense of reporting on them or anything like that. That's not what it's about. We're doing safety work, right, Will? We're protecting, we're preventing violence, and that's helpful to the police, but it's not like we're collaborating and reporting or anything like that. However, the brothers are, because they are in touch with the community, they can relate to people who may not have been, quote unquote, converted to nonviolence, who are still doing violence. And through them, we can reach these young people and invite them to become brothers in Will Wallace's program. So they're sort of intermediaries that can help bring in other brothers who didn't know about what is happening and going on. So that's basically what's happening, and I'm sure some of you have some questions, Rivera and others, and we're open to answer any questions that you have.
Do you want to go into questions now, or is there one of the brothers who wants to share first?
Oh, yes, if there's the brothers that are on. Will, is there anybody that checked in?
Yeah, Marquise, if you want to, if Marquise, you want to just talk about the.
Hey, Will, I'm here too.
Who's that?
Kanye.
Oh, okay. So both Kanye, Marquise, if any of you brothers want to talk about just the impact that this program have had on you guys' lives, feel free to talk about it now. You also can talk about the trainings that we have done with Twin Cities Nonviolence, along with Nonviolent Peace Force. You can talk about the fishing trip. You can talk about whatever that falls on your heart. But I really want these young people to be able to talk, because they're the voice of the culture that's moving forward. It's giving young people a platform to be able to speak about injustice and this system that keep holding us back as Black people for years and years and years. It's like, when will we be able to? I can hear Martin Luther King always saying that all men are created equal. That ain't what we getting once you grow up in life and understand this system. This system plays a dirty game, and then you get what you get when you in the inner city, the violence, the poverty. But how can we be in the richest country in this earth, and all throughout United States, we still dealing with poverty, lack of education? We need to change the narrative, and because in our inner city, man, it's like living in hell. It really is, from birth up to now. And we really have to change this narrative. And we're gonna need our brothers and sisters that are white, man, to really help us change this narrative. It's time for us to really have our white brothers and sisters wrap their arms around us to be able to help us fight this fight of changing these narratives throughout our inner city. Because I'm saying to myself, how could I be still fighting this fight that my ancestors was fighting? It doesn't make sense. It's like the ancestors didn't fought for us to have equalness, but it's still not a fair game, you know. So I want Kanye and Marquise to speak, and then we can ask some questions and whatever questions you guys have of us.
How y'all doing? I'm Marquise. I'm one of the youth leaders over at Emerge in the Norfolk program. And I just like reflect on like the training that we was going through. I mean, it's a lot of I can go on about our program all day, every day. I can talk all day on it, on our Zoom meeting, but I ain't gonna do that because I know other stuff that we got to get through and talk about. So I just talk about the trainings that we went through, like with the nonviolent peace force and stuff. And one thing I can say is really helpful because I really grew up I didn't know how to basically like de-escalate a situation without using violence. Like me personally, I always have to, use force to stop like two people from getting into it. Like when I use force, I mean like if it was like just shoving or raising my voice at somebody, just to make both parties to calm down. But then like the training made me realize like I shouldn't have to use like violence or force, to calm a situation down. I should be able to talk to both parties, see what's going on, and get both stories, instead of me just, hurry up and rush into the problem basically. And I'm throwing jabs at both parties. Now, you never know. Now, if I run over there and throw jabs at both parties, now both parties might try to, gang up on me now. And then it's really going to be violence, now, because I just made two people that was already into it look at me in a, violent way because I came approach them in the wrong way. So, the training really just taught us like how like to de-escalate a situation, like if we ever got into one. And like I always told Father Harry, like I'm kind of glad that they came and, basically taught us, the training, because like Lord knows we're going to need it in the long run. Because I want, like when I say my type, y'all know what I mean. Like I'm not saying like in a disrespectful way, no, none of that, but we not used to, de-escalating a situation without, using force, So when the ways, they was telling us to do, like it was to the point like we was doing play, we was acting it out just in case if it really happened in the real world, we had to act it out with each other just in case if it really did happen, and we really knew how to, react to it. So, it's like, and it's like, it was just like, it's kind of, how can I say it? It's just like, I can't even really pronounce it. How can I say it's it's a perfect training for us to, put in our youth, because the youth is really going basically, it's like a cycle. So basically, back in the day, this is what they was doing. So, it's coming down the line, it's steady coming down the line. So basically what we trying to do is we trying to change that cycle now. Instead of it being a 360, y'all know a 360, that's a complete circle. So, we trying to get it to the point it's a 180, then, it stopped right there. Then, so that's what we trying to get it to, because right now, the stuff that's going on right now, our next coming generation is not going to be safe for them. Though it might get way worse than what is going on right now. So we just trying to hurry up and beat them to the punch before they get older, and really, run to the streets or, just run to violence, period. Like everybody know, like people have bad days, and how people live when they have bad days. It's nothing but chaos and violence when you have a bad day. Even though some people try to make it better for you, you might, they still might go off on them, even though they're trying to make it better for them, though. But y'all know how an angry person is. They don't want to talk. They're not trying to hear nothing. It's just what they going through, and don't get me wrong, everybody go through stuff, so we're not going to knock them for going through stuff. Okay, yeah, y'all mad or whatever, but that's what we have training for. We have trainings for, when you get upset or you trying to de-escalate a situation without using violence, because a lot of people don't know how to de-escalate a situation without using violence, and it's really helpful because, we then did jobs where we ran across like whites, and, they had told us like, we got to be aware because, they might come with guns or, they might come with their trucks and flags or whatever like that. But we stood our ground. And even though, we wasn't going to use violence or force, to try to get the job done, it's always a food of thought, like you don't need to use violence to get your point across. You shouldn't have to use violence to get your point across. You should be able to sit somebody down, talk to them, or however you want to do it, but y'all shouldn't have to, raise voices or basically get physical and touch each other just to get y'all point across. It's ways around that type of stuff. So, so my point of view is like, we just got to keep it going. It's a good training, even, it take a little minute, the training don't work overnight. So by the end of the training, we graduate, we get prizes and stuff at the end of our training, just for our appreciation, but we just really trying to force the issue with our culture, because we the young, we the voice of the culture. So they want to hear from the people who's going through it or who went through it. Like, don't get me wrong, all the elderly, y'all word mean a lot to the community and the youth, but they looking at us all, they way older, they don't know what they talking about, they don't know what we going through. So, it's our job basically to let them know, like, we going through, and even though we going through these trainings and yeah, we doing good, we still got stuff going on in our real life too, but that don't mean we gonna, go cause chaos or ruckus, just to, feel better, no, that's what we have, like Brother Will and Father Harry Bear, stuff like that, like we can run to them, tell them our problems, they probably can't fix it, but I guarantee you, they'll have, it'll be to a point that make us feel better, even though like prime example, I've been losing friends, and the first thing I always do is call Will, it, like I said, we had another meeting today. I don't care if Will just take me out to eat, take me to the movies, it's like, I don't care what he do, like he just try to keep me focused on, the positive things, like even though I just lost friends stuff, he just tried to keep my mind on everything that's positive, so, and like a lot of us don't know, like we always just focus on the negative. We never focus on our pluses, like pluses can be the small things, like a plus, we waking up in the morning, a plus we made it to work, a plus is just like little things that pluses is things that people don't pay attention to, but whole time, even though they live pluses, all them pluses add up, people don't be looking at them pluses. So, that's what we really just trying to make people do is look at them pluses and don't look people, like I said, people go through things, but that don't mean, you got to have a whole bad day or you got to go do something bad just to, just to feel better. Like everybody go through stuff, so it's just like, I just want to let them know, like, we here for them. Like if they really do need the training, like if they an angry person or, just a frustrated person, like we got ways around it, for you to better yourself. Y'all ain't got to go cause chaos, because y'all in a bad mood or, y'all having a bad day, so the training is really helpful. It was to the point, that they, helped us focus on our breathing in the situation if something happened. Because, if you huffing and puffing, you're going to basically do something you don't really want to do. You got to, control your breathing and everything, so the training is really helpful, but see, like I'm saying, y'all see how long I was just talking, but I'm going to cut it there because, like I said, I can keep talking all day, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it to my brother Kanye and let him have the flow. But then again, I want to thank y'all again for inviting us. This means a lot to us, and stuff don't happen overnight, but we just want to let y'all know we really in it, we in this with y'all, y'all not by y'all self. So everybody trying to help each other, we trying to better each other. So that's the whole, that's the whole thing in the book, is to better our community without using violence and the streetwise. We should be able to uplift each other with peace and love at all times. We shouldn't have to, cause chaos and, stuff like that. We should be able to just be all this one, nobody bigger than the other. We all want, we work together, and I guarantee you we get the job done. Oh, that's it. Go ahead, Kanye. You can go if you want to, Kanye.
All right. How y'all doing? I'm Kanye. I'm not new no more, but I'm gonna say I'm like one of the newer guys. And like what emerges to me is like it's like a brotherhood. Like when I first met Keith, like, it was all, jokes at first, but then, they showed a different side. Like when it's just us, we crack jokes, but we still get the work done. But when we was in the room having real discussions, it was like a real discussion. Like I like to debate. It's a difference between arguing and debating, but I like to debate. So, I mean, I came from talking a lot to like, we'll sometimes be like, you got to shorten it up, basically like a summary, you know. Like he said, I ain't trying to take all y'all time, but definitely like Emerge is definitely like a good program for me. Cause like before I came to Emerge, I had a lot of like anger, but like going through the classes, like it just showed me like it's not no, it's like, yeah, I got anger, but it's other people that get worse, like people that's in worse positions than me. So you gotta appreciate the little things. So he was just like, Will showed me a lot, like just from checking in. Like we gotta check in every day. And it got like, it's a habit now. Like I go home, I probably text Will. It don't matter as long as I text him, he's just making sure that we make it home, and, everything good. And if you don't, he gonna shoot you a text like checking in, something just to make sure you breathing. Everybody got their phone on them, so I don't see like it would be no point not to. But like Will has definitely helped a lot. Like he put us all the North 4 guys in position to win. It's not no big eye, little U's. It's all love. And he trying to win for everybody, not just one person. That's why I love working for Will. It's fun. It is one truly amazing gift.
Yeah.
But that's all I gotta say. Thank you guys for your time.
So I want to say a couple things. Kanye, that who just got off. I remember one Zoom meeting we had. Show you how attractive that he is. How addicted this Zoom meetings and the nonviolent peace force and the training. He was at a wrestling meet one Thursday night, and literally he's running from from the wrestling match to the locker room to jump on Zoom, and he'll run back. You can hear the wrestling match, and everybody like, Kanye, turn your mute off. Turn your speaker off. But he really wanted to be involved and learn about what this nonviolent peace really looked like. And I'm just so proud of him and Marquise and all the other brothers, and a special shout out to Father Harry and Mel and them, because the Somalian festival that we just had a couple of weeks ago, the Somalian community decided that they didn't want to have the police present there at the time. And so what they did, they reached out to Nonviolent Peace Force, and then they reached out to us, and we was able to provide security for that festival that day. These young brothers was there, and we didn't have no issues at all, And so I'm just proud of these young brothers for taking these chances and believing in something that's bigger, and then how we can really continue to support them. And like Marquise, I remember his guys in his organization, in his gang, wanted him to retaliate, and he showed me the text. They want him to retaliate, but he was like, "Nope, I don't want to retaliate, man." And what we did was we got him to Chicago, out of town, go deal with his family, and he really wanted to prove that, man, Mr. Will, I'm changing. It's not going to take overnight, but I'm doing it. And so I'm just so proud of the brothers, and especially the 4 brothers that's over at Ascension. Um, I asked Marcus, what is one of the biggest day of your life over at Ascension School? And he said, what brighten his day is that it's this one kid right now during lunchtime. This kid always brings his football, and he looked forward to playing football, throwing football with Marcus. And Marcus said, Mr. Will, this is the best job I ever had, because, he said every day at lunchtime, this kid just bring his football and he want to play catch with it. And see, and that's what's missing in our community. It goes back to what Father Harry said. These brothers are missing fathers in their life, and they're missing granddads, and so when you give them the opportunity, and you got to be consistent. I think over my 30-something years doing this, I've been consistent in being in these people's lives. And when they say text is like, I invest. These kids, I'm like mine. So I'm checking on them. I don't care if it's 2, 3 in the morning. If they haven't texted me all day, I'm texting them like, hey, I'm checking in with you. I got to hear that, because then I know they safe, they at home, they gonna see them the next day. And then on top of that, the parents just come and say, here you go, Mr. Will, do something with this kid. And we're not talking about just kids from Minneapolis. Some of the kids in our program, the #1 state, Chicago. We got young brothers from Chicago. We got brothers from Kansas, St. Louis, that's in this program, that these parents are trying to escape or leave these big cities, and they come here, and the first person they find is me, and they like, can you save my son? And when I took this position, and I put this program up under me, the first thing I said is I asked God to favor this program. And he been favoring it ever since 2008. We didn't had 300 plus brothers come through this program, and we only didn't had 2 funerals. 2 out of 300 some brothers. It's probably more than that. But just to be able to be in this position, and I look these parents in their eyes, and I tell them, I don't want funerals. I want to see them having jobs and cars, and understanding what a lake house looked like. And so when we on the lake at Lake Riley out in Eden Prairie, in this all white neighborhood when they seeing these kids skiing and all that. I'm saying this could be us. This could be our lifestyle. But we need our brothers, our white brothers and sisters to help us open these doors so that economic can come our way. But these kids don't have to struggle. These kids, and they say, well, how can you get kids off the street that they can make $2,000 or $3,000 a day versus you paying them 15, 16? I say, well, hey, my name is Will, but I do God's will. And so with God's will, he has given me the opportunity with his grace to be able to reach these brothers through, like I say, consistently. You got to be consistent with these kids, man. You can't say one thing and do something different. They can't never tell you that, oh, I caught Mr. Will coming out the liquor store. I caught Mr. Will drunk. I caught Mr. Will smoking marijuana. No, they can't nobody out of 31 years can tell you they caught Mr. Will doing something like that. Never. Because I understand that when you lose trust in these babies, it's over. It's done. Even the system. When I did that armed robbery, I looked at the judge and told him, you'll never see me again. You'll never see me again. So I'm proud of Father Harry opening up the doors for us at Lake Riley. And Kanye, he told us on the boat the other day, man, we should be doing this every other week. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It's that. It's giving them an opportunity to see something bigger than their streets, their street block, the corners of what they see every day. We can change the narrative all over the inner city if we just had everyone come together, not just when it's tragedies that happen. When tragedy happen, we come all together as America, we all concerned. But when the tragedy is died down, everybody go back to their own places. We gotta keep our feet on the gas to be able to change this narrative. And so I'm excited. And then Kanye also got a trophy too. He went to the state and he got a trophy. I was so proud of him that he even brought it to the guys and showed us in group about his trophy. See, that means a lot to me that this young man, it pays off. Even though we was on a Zoom meeting, he was at his bathroom mat, he was able to be with us in the Zoom meeting and still do it. That's the dedication that I love to see in these brothers. And so, yeah, that's what we do. I mean, even at the Ascension School right now, them guys over there, they're not only showing up, they showing out and they shining, you know. And like Father Harris said, we got to be able to get them. They got a wage right now, but we got to get them up to $20 an hour because they deserve it. And they over there, they really doing it, and the kids just love them. And so that's my piece, and I'm excited to be with y'all tonight. But yeah, we got to continue to have these meetings and change these narratives throughout the world because we need to be able to say the Marquise of the worlds and the Kanye of the worlds and the Davion and the Abdi. I mean, for the first time, I have reached over to the West African brothers, Somalian brothers. This Abdi is the first Somalian kid in this program, and his mom came to me and said, "Yeah, I heard about your program. Can you save Abdi for me?" I said, "Yeah, we're gonna save him. We're gonna put our arms around him. But one thing you gotta know, I'm gonna hold him accountable for everything he do that don't look right." So, and that's what we do.
And our next step is to build a youth center. And so Will and I and a couple other fellows are starting this mission of providing a youth center on the north side so that we get these kids earlier. So even before they get into gangs, that's the point of the youth center, is to reach them quickly in their young lives. So that's our next step. So any of you that have the time and the energy to help us, please do so, and find other people that would like to see it, because it doesn't do any good to complain about all the murders that are taking place. If you really care about the killings, do something, huh? Act. And we need to act. And one of the ways we're acting now to build on Will's work is to develop a youth center.
Well, thank you both. It's so amazing to hear how you've been building one program into another program and kind of going laterally through your community and intervening wherever you can. We're really inspired by what you're doing at Pachi Bene, and I'm personally really committed to making sure that our organizers all over the country hear this recording, hear what you're doing, and get in touch with you to understand what's possible. I think you've gone a huge step with the brothers at the Somali festival, which I read about in the news. So I'm amazed that that was you. You blow my mind. And at the school. And I'm just so grateful to have heard this story from you both, or you all four of you. I want to just open up some space for questions. If anyone has them, you can just come off mute and ask them. And if you don't have questions, I have a list, so don't be shy.
This is so fabulous. This has to spread like, I don't like the word wildfire, but this has got to spread like wildfire.
Yes,
Your blessings.
I agree with you.
And I think it's prophetic that it happened in the Twin Cities.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. This is absolutely terrific. I'm John Brewer in Vermont. I've been on peace teams in a lot of different places and done violence prevention work back in the 90s in Washington, D.C. and more recently in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Very impressed with what this can do. I mean, I know it works. I tried to bring Cure Violence, the violence interrupters, to Harrisburg. And to make it sustainable, of course, people have to be paid. And I'm really glad to hear that people are getting paid. And I agree totally, $20 an hour should be the absolute minimum that people should get for this kind of work. It's terrific. But I'd like to hear a little bit more about the Ascension School project. So I've heard, yeah, you can make friends and you're occupying a kid with a football. That's time they can't be spent getting into trouble or doing something else. And you're building that relationship that's so critical. But how's it going there? I mean, it's a school where people thought they needed an armed police officer, and they're giving you guys a chance to do this. Can you give me an example of something you could have imagined would have escalated to the involvement of an armed officer that you were able to prevent? Or how often does that kind of thing happen? I imagine it's pretty rare, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about the day-to-day life doing this work in a school. Marquise, I don't know if that's your department.
Well, like I said, 4 of the brothers that's over at the school, all 4 of them didn't get off until 5 o'clock. But I would say this, John, the training that we did and what Marquise talked about is we did a lot of role plays on what could happen and how we de-escalate. I mean, we spent hours and hours from someone snatching up a kid and how do you intervene? Is it time to call the police? We talked about prostitution, being at the school, someone smoking, someone coming and gun. We had every play that we played out every scenario in our mind. So on a daily piece with the brothers right now, they number one goal is safety. You know, from 7 o'clock in the morning, they're making sure that the staff get into the building safe. And then at 8 o'clock, when kids are coming off the bus, they right there seeing the kids into the lunchroom. And then from there, they secure the building to make sure that everything is okay. Then they move inside. They move where the cafeteria and making sure that young people are fed. And then after that, they send them off to class. And then after that, if a scenario do happen, and so far, knock on wood, John, they haven't had a scenario so far. I think the only scenario they've been having is little brothers and sisters nagging and fighting at each other. But like I say, right down the street from Ascension School, not even a half a block, you got one of the biggest drug dealing going on in Minneapolis. And so how do we do that? So what we did is that we walked that block. And when we walked that block, we told them, hey, we a couple blocks away. It was about building a relationship. Anyone need any food, you can come down food distributing. We want to do some, if we want to barbecue, y'all is invited. I think the mindset of us reaching out to that block and letting them know who we are so it won't be a threat. You know, when you go in and you're trying to be a threat, I mean, that's the piece that Marquise was talking about. It's teaching us how to take a deep breath, what to look for. You're dealing with experts, man. We've been living in hell for years. I mean, and we come from the blocks of selling drugs, shooting at people and everything else. But we know now how to deal with it in a way of love and passion. See, it's not fear and force no more. So we teach about love and passion, not fear and force, because when you do fear and force, you get the outcome. But when you teaching them about love and passion, you win every time. And see, and that's the piece we also teach with these young brothers is how to love themselves and how to love their neighbors. Because a lot of them come to me and they're in this hatred and they're in this fear. So these 2-3 weeks it's important that we teach them about this healing process, you know. And so the everyday school, I wish I had Marcus and Sean and Devin here, which they have been giving me nothing but positive feedback. I mean, just the kids, man, just able to understand that they got someone there that looks like them, that they don't always see on the news that someone looks like them that's always getting killed or shooting at somebody or going to jail. Now they got someone that looks like them that they can play ball with, walk them to class, in the classroom. I mean, they didn't talk about it all. They even talked about being in the classroom teaching algebra and all that while the teacher wasn't there. They had to take over a class. So it's powerful. It's just so powerful to see them in that position. And then saying they have to go back home and study some of their math because they didn't get this right with the student. But that's all, man, that's beautiful to see that. So John, that's the everyday life is just the number one thing is to make sure those kids and staff and that surrounding community is safe. And I think the 1 year training that we got uh, helped them deal with every scenario that we have role play with in our building. And so, are we
How many are in this?
Hmm?
How many are in the school at one time?
All 4 of them.
All 4.
Yeah, we got 4 peacekeepers, and we need to bring on the other 6. And so Ascension has 2-3 more schools that we need funding. And seeing this, what I'm saying, it's like when you have something good and you know the model work, it's hard to get funding. And I ask myself, why is that? Well, soon a tragedy happens, then everybody want to write checks, want to cut checks, want to throw money. But then when you got 6 other kids sitting on the bench saying, put me in, coach, I'm ready to play. Then we asking these funders for the money. It's about, no, we don't have it. We can't give it. See, and that's what keeps these young people discouraged when they sitting here, they ready to go. And if Emerge wasn't giving them an opportunity on these interns, because I've had these young people for a year and a half, and they're saying, well, you done had them too long. No, I haven't. I need to keep them until we get them these jobs. And then when we get them jobs, then yeah, I let them go. But I'm not letting them go until we can get them other 3 schools full with these brothers.
And they all wear shirts, Sarah. And on the shirt it says nonviolent peacekeepers, huh? That you like. Yes. And John, the issue is being present. Being present. So they're in the school, they're on the playground, they're present between, there's a good block where the kids get off the city bus and walk to the Ascension School, and they're there when the kids are coming to school and when they're going back to the bus. So they're present, and that's key.
And this is their first year?
Yes. Started in March.
Wow. Well, I just want to say thank you all so much. This is amazing what you're doing. It's exactly the work that needs to be done. And I do hope the funding showers down upon you, because this, when you think about what police get paid to do this job as school resource officers, when you think what we're spending on these types of armed security that are just making us more unsafe, when we think about the calls to defund the police, this is a wonderful alternative to paying for school resource quote unquote officers and creating prisons out of schools. I think you are right on what needs to be done. You're doing the work in such a deep and soulful way, and all of us in the Pace Bene Campaign Nonviolence and Nonviolent Cities Network have so much to learn from you. So thank you for sharing your stories and experience with us tonight and ongoingly, as we make sure that people know that what you're doing and get in touch with you.
Thank you, Rivera, very much.
Are you going to invite him to class someday?
We should. Yeah, we could do that. All right, so thank you, everyone. Feel free, we're a small group, to just come off mute and say your appreciations as we pop off. We are at the top of the hour and I want to respect people's time.
Thank you, and God bless you for all your work.
Thanks a lot.
Likewise. Yeah, terrific, guys. Keep it up. And I got to figure out how to be part of it.
Thank you
Good
for
job.
We looking forward to y'all to be part of
and
it.
including us all.
I've known Harry for a long time. He and I were together 3 weeks in Gaza in the summer of 2005 with the peace team. And I was also 3 months in the West Bank with another peace team. So I haven't done very much actively involved, because I've been mostly professor at University of St. Thomas, teaching about this stuff. But I do what I can, and we work together with Harry on the Twin Cities Nonviolent. But I'm getting, well, I was going to say I'm getting old at 84, but Harry's 90, so I can't get away with that one. But I don't have his energy, so I do what I can.
Thank you, Father David.
Just
Thank you
wonderful
so
to
much.
watch what you all are doing.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Blessings, everybody.